A 3x3 consists of 12 edges, 6 centres and 8 corners. The edges are these pieces, the corners are these pieces, and the centres are the things in the middle. Now we can ignore the centre since they don't really move, although if I do that, the sticker has rotated slightly. However, we're going to ignore that because it doesn't really matter. So, for the corners, we have 8 corners and 3 rotations they can be in, like this. So, we can say that number of positions they can be in is 8 factorial. 8 factorial, which is 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then we have to deal with their rotation. So this, because there's 3 different rotations and 8 corners, that is 3 to the power of 8. 3 times 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 3. So 8 factorial is, as anybody should know, 40,320. And 3 times 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 3 is 6,561. I think. Yep. 3 to the 8 is 6,561. Right. Now on to the edges. So there are 12 edges, but there are only 2 flips there can be. That, if I can get it in. We ignore the fact that that is not actually possible for now. So we have 2 to the 12, representing the fact that they can be flipped on each side. So 2 times 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 2, which is 4,096. As anyone should know. Right, and for the 12 edges, they can also be in all sorts of different positions, so we have 12 factorial, which is the largest number here. Yeah, nice shortcut there. Right, so 479001600. So we now have the 4 parts of the total. So we have 40,320 times 6561 times 4096 times 479001600. Except that's not actually the number of combinations. That's the number of possible combinations if you break it apart and put it back together again. However, most of them, or a large number of them, are not actually possible. Like this, like that, but that sort of thing is not actually possible. So we need to actually divide everything by 12. And doing that, we get the famous number 43 quintillion, 252 quadrillion, 3 trillion, 274 billion, 489 million, 856,000 and 0. So it's a pretty big number, but what does it actually mean? Well, about 15 years ago, the world's population was about 6.5 billion. Now it's increased by about 1.1 billion, to I think they now estimating 7.6, 7.7 billion. So that squared is approximately equal to the total number of combinations. So now, in 2021, we're in a situation where if everyone in the world sent a cube to everyone else in the world, randomly scrambled, one of them would probably statistically be solved. Probably. It's by no means a guarantee. But in reality, of course, most people have never actually even seen a cube. And this raises a question, well, how many scrambles have actually been seen? And we can think, well, maybe there are about 5 million people in the world who have each done about 1,000 solves. And considering most of them don't use full CFOP, probably cycle through about 60 combinations per solve. So we have 300 billion scrambles seen. Yeah, just 300 billion scrambles seen. It might be more than that, it might be a few trillion at the most of the number of scrambles seen. So we have hardly scratched the surface of possible combinations. So if I get my random state scrambler out and do the 20 moves it recommends, because any cube can always be solved in 20 moves or less. This was proven by brute force computer analysis back in 2010. So that's why all good scramblers have 20 moves maximum, because there's no point in any more if they are totally random. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there we have a scramble which I can say with near certainty has never been seen before by anyone. And all it took was 20 random moves. Granted, if I did 18 or 19, probably the exact same thing. And there's probably a solution that is less than 20 moves. Almost certainly there are very few combinations that actually take full 20 moves. But I can say with near certainty that this scramble has never been seen before. Now, most speed cubers use a method called CFOP, which consists of first solving a cross, like this. So doing that reduces the number of possible combinations by 1. So 1 for that times the total number. So we now have just 2, 2, 7, 5, 4, 6, 3, 1, 3, 5, 2, 3, 2, 0, 0 combinations, which is a much smaller number. Admittedly, it's still really, really big, and it also means that even a random cross-solved scramble has probably never been seen before. It's nowhere near as certain, but probably never been seen before. And then just solving one F2L pair reduces that number down to 592 trillion, 592 billion, sorry. 568, 5248, 800. Now that means that it's probably been seen before, this scramble. Probably. By no means a guarantee though, because that is 600 billion. So it might not have been. In fact, there's a pretty good chance it hasn't. Solving one more F2L pair reduces that number down to 2015, 539, 200. As in 2 billion, 15,539,200. Now that has almost certainly been seen before. This completely weird random scramble like that. Now, solving one more F2L pair reduces that number down to 9,331,200. And simply solving the last F12 pair reduces that down to 62208. Now, some people who know their stuff will say, well, aren't there 15,552 last layer cases? Well, yes, except this counts this as the same. That would count that as the same case as that. Whereas in terms of the total number of combinations, they are actually different cases. More understandably, this is the same with PLL, where this is a JB perm, but it's actually different to this in terms of actual case, in terms of the 43 quintillion number. But it's the same case in terms of PLL, and you do the same algorithm, just have a different AUF at the end. Now, I often find two groups of people at market stalls. Some think it's really difficult, oh, I'll never be able to do that, and don't even bother, don't even take an interest. And other people think it's easy. And I've often seen kids doing stuff like this, and then, oh, it's solved! But not actually even moving the other layers. Or sometimes they do actually move the other layers, and then do stuff like that, and then it solves because they're not scrambling it properly. And this is probably where the whole idea of, oh, I solved it once randomly comes from, because realistically, if they properly scrambled it first time round, they are completely lying without question, because there is no way anyone's going to randomly come across a solved cube. Yeah, 1 in 43 quintillion moves chance per move. Even if you can do 10 moves a second, like good speed cubers can, you're just not going to solve it. Statistically, there are 31,536,000 seconds in a year, and 31,622,400 in a leap year, if that helps at all. Probably doesn't. So, if somebody says that to you, they're lying to you. But that doesn't mean that speed cubers who know what they're doing cannot solve the cube. Because despite the ridiculous number of combinations, there is a solution to it that works every time that anyone can learn.